Check 1, 2, hello. What is this? Another made-up fish food like the mice episode? Are you going to try and convince your listeners that fish eat tacos? Fish are tacos, bro.
Hey, can you stick to the script, please?
Fine. Do you like tacos? Do you like fly fishing? Have you ever wanted to fish the Trinity River? No? Too bad. Because that's what you're getting this episode. Oh, come on, I don't need a script. I'm just here because my dad lost a bet. I told him that if I could eat 12 poached eggs, he would have to let me record another intro for the show, but he didn't believe me. And I guess I won twice because now I have a belly full of eggs and I'm back here to kick off another episode. I don't even care what this episode is about. You shouldn't either. You should listen to it because my dad spent a whole lot of time on it, okay? He'll tell you about some flies and fishing, and you know it's going to be weird and stupid. He'll probably talk about UFOs again, or no, probably Tartaria. More like Fartaria is what I say. Especially after all those eggs. Okay, that's it.
I love you all. Thank you for being here. God bless and welcome.
Yes, welcome to Secret Society of Fly Tires. I really do love you, okay?
I am so glad you finally said it, Marty. I've loved you forever and want to marry you.
Well, that wasn't me saying it in my little intro, but it's true. That was my new favorite YouTuber, John Levi, and my very charming daughter before that. I even love that she went rogue and ignored the script I spent so much time on and made a fool of me. I'm trying to be more positive these days. And I love the topic of this episode, too. The Trinity River. No, not the one in Texas, you fools. I'm always talking about Texas on this show, and for good reasons. But this episode is about the breathtakingly beautiful Trinity River that's about 3.5 hours from my house here in Northern California. Anyways, here I am again, podcasting like my life depends on it, basking in the fruits of my labor, sitting high atop my throne of idiocy as the self-proclaimed Grand Poobah of the Master Crafters Podcasters Armed Forces. That isn't a completely untrue statement.
Oh, really?
I've conquered a number of countries already. If you live in Argentina, El Salvador, Finland, Germany, Hong Kong, South Africa, or Switzerland, you already know, because I climbed the ratings mountain and struck down upon the great people of these countries with mostly pointless content about fly tying, some bad jokes, fishing, and my own trials and tribulations.
Danke, kiitos.
谢谢.
Giabonga.
Now I'm going to give you another episode. The 20th episode of this show, actually. How's that sound?
Like maybe the best news of my life. Mark, my love.
All right, good. You see, there are many things that sound bad to me. A large part of the mental struggles I've been coping with and poking fun at myself about during the earlier episodes of this season is a strange aversion to certain sounds. My brothers and my friends knew that crunching ice cubes near me would drive me up the wall, and they took full advantage of that. But that was tolerable and usually funny. After my right eardrum was destroyed by an errant blitz wiffle ball crushed by my should-be cleanup hitter wife, my brain decided to go ham on what kind of audio it thinks I should be able to tolerate. The sound of my dog Cookie Monster slurping up a bowl of water makes me either want to move to a private island or fight everyone in the neighborhood. Same goes if she wants to lay down next to me and start munching away on some grass. My dog doesn't know or care that these enjoyable and refreshing actions make me want to cut my ears off and fill the holes with glue, and she shouldn't. The sounds of my kids having fun, running down the hallway, stomping on the wood floor gets me too. Their fun is my torture, and you need to feel bad for me and my brain pain. No, you don't actually. These things don't seem to sound that bad on the surface, but the worst sounds of the bunch might be when my kids get colds and start making the sounds that we all make when we're congested. I want to help and comfort them, but the sounds coming out of them while I do make me feel like getting in my car and driving to Alaska. My odd sensory issue quickly snowballs into an angry confusion coupled with a bunch of guilt for letting a sound that basically puts my brain in an audio vise get in the way of me helping my children. I don't know why I feel like it's necessary to convey these feelings to the innocent people that may stumble upon this weird show. You are just a digital vessel for me to air my disgusting ear laundry. I bet you no one has ever typed that sentence or said it on a podcast, which means that I win, at least today. I'll say that was the reason that I told you about my hearing woes, actually, so that I can celebrate that win. You have to celebrate the small victories. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. It's not the number of breaths that we take, it's the moments that take our breath away. You have to look through the rain to see the rainbow.
Yeah, no, I'm living in a nightmare, and I am the cream. I am the cream, yeah. The cream of the crop.
Anyways, you get what I'm saying. So it's the 20th episode of the show, and that's not a huge milestone, but it's a nice round number. I'm happy to share it with my guest, Mario, from Taco Fly Company. You'll learn more in the interview later, but he says the subject of this episode, the Trinity River, saved his life. And I agree with Mario. It's really a magical place. Calling something magical shouldn't feel weird either. I think magical places are real, and there isn't a way for science to measure whatever that special juice is. Now, I can't go as far as Mario and say that the Trinity saved my life, but I got a really important fish there at a point in my mental struggles that really made a difference. Steelheading is magical too. That's the perfect way to describe it, actually, and I think a lot of people that love to fish for steelhead understand that, whether they say it on a podcast or not. I was in such a deep mental rut that I was literally finding any reason not to go on this trip out to the Trinity where I caught that important fish. I couldn't commit to it until basically the day before we left, and it took a bunch of convincing from my wife and my fishing buddy Steve to finally pack my stuff and head out. I don't know why I was against going on a fish mission with my good buddy. It could have been partly that I was afraid to beat myself up even more on another 3-day skunk session like our previous trip out there, but that would have been kind of logical. I had a weird fear to leave and guilt for leaving my family behind while I went out to have fun in the woods and was just in a shitty headspace. That feeling of looming doom for no reason.
It's because everyone really is out to get you, Mark. Just kidding, ha 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 ha. Or am I?
Surprise, time and nature away from your phone and your job and all the regular stresses of life is really good for you. I was feeling better almost as soon as we got out of town on the road up north from Sacramento to Douglas City. The weather was gloomy and cold, and it just felt fishy when we got there. The Trinity River is a dark, foggy, picturesque steelhead river in the morning, and we dropped our stuff at the Indian Creek Lodge and practically ran back to the truck to hit the water. Now, the Trinity wanted to punish us for a couple days, and we couldn't find any steelhead in any of the spots we thought they should be in. Fine. It's all part of the fun, really. As you'll hear in the interview, Steve and I's frustration got to a point where we started texting local guides and just trying to study up so we might have better luck before the trip was over. Mario from Taco Fly Company ended up being one of those guides, and he happily forked over some info that we hoped would help us connect with the fish we were after. I can't remember the exact advice anymore, but whatever it was motivated us enough to head out to a spot we hadn't checked out yet and fish hard the next day.
Mario probably told you to buy some flies from Herb at the Trinity Fly Shop instead of using your leeches, again. I'm naked right now and drunk on white wine, waiting for you, Maddie.
I found a run I liked because it was named after one of my brothers, but it was moving a little slow for me to get a good swing. So I decided to throw on a Jadicator and a purple Psycho Prince that I got at Trinity Fly Shop onto my trout spay rod to try and nymph through it. As I slowly covered the water, my bobber went down. I hooked into a good-sized hen and fought it for probably 15 minutes or so until Steve was able to help me land it. I needed that fish so bad, and Mother Nature gave in and let me have it. She does that every now and then, and I was grateful. This was also the first wild steelhead I'd caught on my own without a guide bringing me to the fish, so it was a little more special. Steve also managed to net one of equal size later that evening, which really capped off the trip for us. He usually catches fish, though. I've actually seen him take an accidental winter swim in the Trinity and pop up at the other end of the run with rod in hand to then hook a fish soaking wet. That is no fisherman's tale either, as often as I lie on this show. Because of that trip, the Trinity will always be special to me. My guest Mario has his own reasons, and I'm so glad he agreed to come onto this show to tell me about them. We didn't really get into any details about the river itself, so I want to run through some of those for anyone listening that hasn't had the pleasure of fishing it yet. Most of these facts are from trinityriver.org. The Trinity River was classified as a wild and scenic river in 1981, and it's the largest tributary to the Klamath River. Starting in the Trinity Alps and Scott Mountains, the Trinity River flows 165 miles through the mountains and valleys of Trinity County before meeting up with the Klamath at Weichpec. Weichpec? Native tribes such as the Nor, Rel, Muck, Wintu, Chimariko, Hoopa Valley, Carrick, and Yurok have lived along the Trinity and Klamath rivers and the tributaries for thousands of years. I will continue to stupidly mispronounce all of those names for another 1,000 years. Deep cultural and spiritual connections to the land, water, and natural resources have always been essential to these tribal communities, resulting in thousands of years of conservation practices that balanced human and environmental needs. The river is known for its once prolific runs of anadromous fish, notably Chinook salmon and steelhead, which sustained Native American tribes for thousands of years. Due to its remoteness, the Trinity did not feature prominently in the early European colonization of California, but the gold rush in the mid-1800s brought thousands of gold seekers to the area.
Tell me where's the goddamn gold?
The river was named by Major Pearson B. Redding, who, upon reaching the river in 1848, mistakenly believed it to flow into the Pacific Ocean at Trinidad Bay. Around that time, the discovery of gold near Douglas City sparked roughly 100 years of mining in Trinity County. The primary type of mining was placer mining, sifting through loose, sedimentary deposits to unearth ore previously eroded by wind, water, or ice. It washed out entire hillsides, devastating the ecology of the Trinity River. Evidence of this extensive mining history is still visible across the Trinity, and there are still active gold claims within the watershed.
I'll tell you where the gold is. It's in the ground.
The Trinity's natural beauty has been one of the most popular sites for visitors to the North Coast, and Highway 299 provides many easy access points for walk and wade spots, along with boat ramps. In addition to the steelhead and salmon, people say you might find a brown trout there too.
Well, you're right.
Some people will tell you that you'll never find a brown trout in the Trinity. Although they aren't native fish, they were heavily stocked until the late 1970s, and a small, self-sustaining population is rumored to remain in the upper river. The Trinity was actually once said to hold near 100 species of fish, including a subspecies of trout that never wore clothes and was nicknamed the nude trout.
You're so dumb.
You so damn stupid.
You so fucking stupid when you talk.
Historians also want us to forget about the dickfish, which was lampooned in an episode of the underrated sketch comedy show Stella, but it's a real fish that once called the Trinity home.
David, Michael, and I are pond fishing, and we catch a huge fish with a big dick, and it chases us all around the front lawn.
In fact, that Stella episode was nothing more than a smear campaign that never showed the dickfish in its beautifully, fully erect state. So I wrote a letter to the president of Comedy Central to express my disgust at them making light of such a unique and special fish. Sorry, where was I? If you decide to head deeper down Highway 299, you'll cross through the epicenter of Bigfoot country, Willow Creek, California. The exact location of the most famous cryptid video that ever existed, the Patterson footage. Not the location of another famous Bigfoot video where president of the Bigfoot Foundation, Peter Kane, tasted a frozen Bigfoot dick on his YouTube channel that his father harvested and kept frozen.
This is what I do. I'm a researcher. I'm a cryptid researcher.
Yeah, you might think the Patterson film is corny. It's aged, slightly grainy, slightly shaky film of what Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin claim is solid documented proof of a Bigfoot. You can write it off as someone in a bad monkey suit, but it's been scrutinized beyond belief and never disproven. I even made up a story in my own head that Patterson came clean and confessed to the hoax on his deathbed. I believed that for years, until I realized that I had mixed up the story of the famous surgeon's photo of what Dr. Robert Kenneth Wilson said was the Loch Ness Monster. He confessed on his deathbed, not Roger Patterson. That happens on occasion to everyone that gets obsessed with tales of real-life monsters before you wise up and start meticulously cataloging all your monster data in Excel spreadsheets. And no, you can't see mine.
Here comes the nerd. Hello, nerd.
Did you ever hear the story about the group of hikers in the Trinity Alps that were scared away from their campsite by a whole pack of Bigfoots?
No, Mark. Tell us right now. I already believe the story and haven't even heard it yet.
Back in July of 1996, some roommates on summer break from Humboldt State University decided to go backpacking in the Trinity Alps. They had planned to visit the Ruth Lake trailhead and decided to ask the rangers at the forest station where there was a good place to hike. The rangers sent them 5 miles up Steed Canyon, where they found a flat place to camp near a creek. That night, as they were sitting around a strangely pre-existing campfire, they heard voices of what they thought were some people approaching their camp. They got ready to greet the other backpackers, but realized that they were coming from the top of the mountain down a very steep slope, not the trail that followed the creek of the canyon. Their voices were deep and sounded like what they described as samurai chatter, which I'm really hoping isn't going to get me fired from this high-paying podcasting gig I have. Those were their words, not mine.
We're sorry. This podcast has been cancelled until the host says he's really, really, really sorry and that he promises to be sorry for the rest of his life. Only then will his stakeholders allow him to resume his host duties.
Okay, I'm very sorry. But apparently this isn't the first time that type of chatter has been heard related to Bigfoot accounts. Anyways, they shined their flashlights after silhouettes as they skirted around their campsite and locked onto a pair of eyes. They were whitish yellow, large, and far apart. As quickly as they appeared, the eyes were gone. That's when the stomping and hooting began. Slow at first, and then building up to a crescendo. The ground shook with every stomp. The group shared looks of shock and disbelief, and thought that they were about to be supper for a gang of hungry big feet. When the stomping and hooting finally stopped, they heard a voice that they perceived as male, as it was deep and commanding. How dare they assume this Bigfoot's gender? Have they learned nothing from modern society? They claim it barked some orders to the rest of its crew, and they braced for attack. These terrifying sounds quickly moved below the group of hikers to the creek. They heard huge boulders being tossed into the water, and higher-pitched, excited, unintelligible voices now, capped off by a high-pitched scream from the top of the canyon. What could be moving to these different locations so quickly? The sounds eventually calmed, and the group cowered in fear and pissed all over each other for the rest of the night after the close call. Living to see the day that a stupid-ass fly-tying podcast regurgitated a truncated version of their story that was most likely some fucking wild-ass weed farmers warning hikers not to go further into Murder Mountain on their little backpacking trip. The weed farmers got stoned before they got to pranking the naive college kids, and one of them accidentally fell in the dang river, making his criminal friends laugh so bad. As soon as he got out of the water, they all farted on him, and they were the worst farts because they went to an Indian food buffet before the prank. Me and Mario shared some laughs during our chat. I hope you get some too. Laughing is one of the most important things you can do, and when you go a long time without it, you start getting shitty. So cook up a special beer and live, laugh, and love along with me and Mario from Quincy's own Taco Fly Company, the crunchiest, spiciest, greasiest fishing guide on the Trinity River.
And then you gotta look good.
Yeah, you gotta look good. So weird.
Mario, thanks for coming on the program, dude.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, I've been following you online for a while now, and nice. I knew when I birthed this podcast that you were the kind of guest I wanted to have on. You know,
oh man,
someone who doesn't take all this fishing stuff too seriously. You know,
definitely no.
For first things first, you're a professional broadcaster like me now. And,
well, sorta. No, very much so an amateur. Very much so.
Well, I've been digging your show. Is it like a full-time thing now, or is it something that you're doing like between guide seasons? What's your
it's dude. Honestly, like I have to have something to do creatively, whether it's like video, photography, now the podcast. I mean, just making a music playlist, something that has to do with using electronics, I would say, to just generalize it. Mm-hmm. And doing a podcast was something I'd kind of like had in my head for a while. And then shit, man, I just went for it. And I don't have any consistent schedule. It's just like kind of like when do I have time? And then also, do I have something on my mind? And am I in the right space to do it? And man, it's a lot and it's fun. I do like it. It's really good. It keeps me busy. So.
It sounds easy before you get into it, right? You're just like,
oh, dude, yeah,
talking on a fuck microphone about whatever the things that I like. You know what I mean? Like it's so easy. Yeah. It's like, yeah, fucking right. It's a lot of work, right?
Yeah. So, you know, actually the first podcast I ever was on was the Barbless podcast when Chad and Nick used to do it. Mm-hmm. I loved Chad and Nick. They were so rad too. I thought they did such a great job. And
I agree.
When I went into their studio, I was just like, whoa, I could never do this. You know,
they had a studio, like a real.
They had like a studio, dude. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, they had an office that they shared with each other, and then you would go in, and it was cool, man. I didn't get to hang out at the office too long.
Because Hogan Brown's doing it from his home now, right?
I don't really know. I haven't listened to it in a while, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he is. But I didn't know they had a full setup like that, like radio style. Like
it was cool.
They're going to work. They're going to work.
Oh, dude, you like went in and there was like a full on table and I was just like, okay, this is what I kind of thought podcasts were like. And then I started listening to like comedians and stuff like that more often and seeing how they had their setup. I'm like, oh, you can just set up a microphone on your desk and spit into it, and hopefully, I feel like this, dude. Like I make everything for my friends. That's how I look at it.
Me too.
I'm always,
That's funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's always just for my friends. I'm not trying to do stuff for followers. Sometimes maybe, like I'm trying to promote my brand, but most of the stuff I'm doing like for like my clients who I call my friends. And I feel like that's what it is. So I just figured I'd start something basic and go from there.
Yeah, man, it's the jokes that I used to make with my buddies at work before we all went remote, and stuff like that. And I make them on the show now, in my stupid little show, and with my guests instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate you reaching out, and I'm excited. I'm looking at all of I haven't had a chance to really get into your podcast, but I'm looking at all the titles, and I'm like, well, these are all things that I definitely want to listen to, man.
Yeah, give it a
you're in
shot.
Cali too, so
I am. I'm up in Sacramento. I'm not that far from you. You're doing all this. You're doing this, the podcast and Taco Fly Company, all out of Quincy, yeah?
Yes, yeah. Quincy, California is where I call home base. It's where I kind of like started my company, but I was living on the Trinity River before that, and then from San Jose. So,
okay. I was going to ask you if you were born out there. How'd you get out there? But you're from San Jose, huh? That's cool.
Yeah, born and raised in San Jose. I was there for until I was 36, man, and I'm 43 now. 7 years after I left the Bay, I'm now in the mountains trying to take people fishing.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
So how did Taco Fly Company start then? Like what got the ball rolling?
Well, to make it kind of quick, like it's a long story, but for me, Taco Fly Co. filled the void that I felt that I was encountering in fly fishing, being from where I'm from and my culture. And this is something it's hard to express sometimes, especially nowadays with this whole like acknowledgement of diversity and stuff like that, which I promote 100%. I think that like the change in the outdoor industry and acknowledging, or underrepresentation of people of color and people who don't have a lot of money. I support all that shit. I think it's awesome. I think it's great for the industry. It's great for the outdoor industry. And for me, as what I encountered when I started fly fishing was I didn't see anything in fly shops or on like like what was being presented, like photography, videography, any of that stuff. I couldn't relate to any of it, dude. Like none of it. A lot has changed in 7 years now, and so I started Taco Fly Co. because I didn't see anything like that. So I started as a clothing brand because I wanted to make hats that were like skate style. I wanted to support my love for like the music that I like, and I say hella, and like and that was why I started it. That was where it all started from, and then it blossomed into a guide service. And it's like this really weird serendipitous thing, man. It was super fun when I started it. Now it's like super fun and stressful. So like, and I'm sure this is what 2023 now. We're just starting our, we're in April now, and in 2023, and I swear, man, I'm starting to see a lot of companies starting to finally change their shit, like make stuff that is appealing to the random person, where they don't associate, they pick up a fly fishing hat and they're like, oh, this looks kind of sick. It's not like your vanilla,
You're starting to see more dudes like us all tattooed up, smoking joints on the river a little bit more often. You know what I mean?
It was always there, but it was like there was nothing. No one was doing anything. I didn't, at least I didn't see it. That was, and I'm like into social media. I've always been a part of like putting my life online since forever. I used to have like a photo blog. So I was like always engaged in like looking at social media and trying to find something I related to, and I just couldn't. So that's how I started Taco Fly Co. And it was like developed based off of a group of friends who we all loved each other, and we got drunk with each other all the time and fly fished. And we made some friends along the way, and it was cool. It was like some people liked what we had going on, and some people didn't, and that's actually a good sign. So
for sure. I mean, it's the punk rock spirit, dude. It's all the same shit. It's all the same,
dude. Yeah, that's the thing too, man. Is like my roots in skateboarding are so rooted in the roots of Taco Fly Co. And that comes from my dude. I mean, I've been listening to punk rock like since I was a kid. I was a skateboarder in the 90s. It wasn't cool, and but it was also kind of punk. And from San Jose and where I grew up, it also had a little bit of, I don't even know how to, it's just street, dude. Like I grew up in the streets. So it's like going into fly fishing, it was rough.
Yeah.
To say the least. Just because it just didn't, I love the outdoors and I love fishing. I've been fishing since I was a kid, but yeah, it was just rough to see the branding and relate to it. It just couldn't at all.
Yeah. I mean, fly fishing does kind of have that, and fly tying too, really kind of that like a weed vest thing. You know what I mean? The idea there for the casual, person.
For sure.
Even as myself getting into fly fishing and stuff, I fished a lot when I was a kid, but getting into fly fishing at like 30, and I'm 42 now. Definitely felt like I was kind of an outsider too. Like I didn't see a lot of people like me until like, the last few years or so. You've seen a lot more. I don't know if it's maybe because I'm deeper into the social media stuff too now and looking more, but I don't know. Times are changing. Things like that happen.
I think it happened pretty quickly, man. If the industry would have shunned the younger people away, which some shops do now currently that I know of, if they don't change with the times, they're going to die out. Especially with the new people coming up and getting into it, the guides who've been doing it forever, who've had those guys for 25 years coming back, like they're going to die one day, and the new group of people are going to come in, and you might have to change a little bit of things up. Maybe, I don't know. Everyone to each his own. But I like that you brought up the fly tying thing, because I think that's actually, that's heavy duty roots in fly fishing. Like the fly tying is its own thing associated with
even nerdier part of it.
Yeah. And I think it's rad, and I love it. And a lot of my friends that tie, they're so amazing. I have some amazing friends that like can tie beautiful flies. I have luckily so many from some of my very talented friends.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's like I see this change, and even just the patterns and the brightness of patterns and the heaviness of tungsten, and like, there's just things that definitely have. We're seeing this sport evolve.
Yeah,
right now.
well, doing
really rad.
People doing stuff that like people would definitely frown upon. 10 years ago for sure.
Oh,
it's just like all whatever. I dig it. I like all the creative part of that, whatever it is.
Yeah, man. And I think it's awesome.
I told the story once already, so I'll save the full story. But I told another guest before that one of my earlier experiences getting into fly fishing, I went to one of the sportsman's expos here in Sac and tried to join a fly club, like a local fly club, and they didn't let me. Like I wanted to give them money and join, and they were like, "No, you don't want to do this," kind of thing. Like I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" Like I didn't understand. I didn't get it, right?
Yeah.
But I do a little bit now. I understand now. Like that
maybe they were doing you a favor, right?
They didn't. That wasn't my crew or whatever.
Yeah, they were just like, dude, honestly, we're a type that you don't want to be. It's not that we don't like you. We're just stuck in our ways, Yeah, man, that's funny. That's really crazy that you said that, because I was asked once this, like, if you could give advice to a new fly fisher person. My suggestion was,
this was a question I was going to ask you, so go right ahead, man.
Yeah, okay. I've answered this before, and I said, grab a couple books. One of them is right here. I always forget. So I have I have a sort of dyslexia, so I can't remember names and words and stuff. But here's the book right here, the Curtis Creek Manifesto. Yeah, definitely get this.
I got to stop my kids from taking that and coloring it in all the time. Yeah, you know what I mean?
So definitely get that and join a fly club and join a fly club. And if you encounter what you encountered, obviously that's going to help you right away, because they don't want your type.
Right.
But the other is like, go in there and go in open-minded, of course, during this journey of your fly fishing, you're going to watch YouTube videos, you're going to watch things, and you're going to learn about how to do it right and how to do it wrong. And one of the best ways to catch fish as a new fly fisher person is definitely throw indicators and bobbers and learn how to drift, learn how to mend, learn how to roll cast. Like these are all things you can apply, to the dry dropper techniques and blah, 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 blah. But if that president of that fly fishing club talks shit to you about throwing a bobber, fucking get up and leave. Leave. And go find another fly fishing club, dude, because that right there is what's going to hold you back from enjoying it, because you're going to quickly learn how there's purists and people who frown upon specific ways, which is fine. I think everybody should have an opinion, but
just follow the ethical rules. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Don't fucking lowhole someone, you know? And so that's I think is, you know, if you could join a fly club, I've heard a lot of really cool success stories of people joining fly clubs, which is super cool too, because the guy, it's kind of like you're like in classroom and the dude sees you sit down and he's like, oh, that guy's wearing bands over there. I'm probably going to be cool with him. So you might get the dude that, oh, this person over, oh man, this guy over here is wearing something. I think, you know, oh, he's got an A's hat on. I love the A's. I'm going to hit him up and let's, you know, you get friends and then you learn, you know, the dynamics of the club. But I think it is something that's important. I'm not currently in any fly fishing clubs. We don't have any up here in Quincy, but I did join Trout Unlimited. And, you know, Trout Unlimited up here in Quincy is fairly limited in age groups. It's mostly people who are older, but they welcomed me. They gave me, you know, they welcomed me with open arms, and it was really awesome up here. But my fly fishing club was a natural thing that occurred by me meeting my buddy Andrew and Ignacio and all these other dudes that fly fish. So I got lucky by finding a group that taught me everything. So if you don't have someone to teach you, I think joining a club where you feel comfortable about being a beginner, and that's what I think it should be. If you have a fly fishing, obviously, you know, you can have a fly fishing club that doesn't like beginners at all, and that's totally fine.
It's something that it helps to have like a mentor type, though, like a mentor
100%,
you know, because as much as YouTube, there's everything you can look on YouTube and find and teach yourself, like having somebody to kind of guide you through steps that you're just never going to think about before you get out there.
100%
is always helpful too. So yeah. And yeah, I credit my aunt. My aunt signed me up for Trout Unlimited like when I was a little kid, you know, I was always getting the stuff in the mail, and it was always,
that's cool.
I credit her for kind of stoking my interest in that, you know, early on, for sure.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, and I think that, so I'm lucky enough to take people fishing now, sort of for a living, and I get a lot of beginners, and what's cool about that is that they'll ask me questions on what to do next and where. Like I actually taught 2 people this last weekend. I got 2 people into their first fish on a fly rod this last weekend.
Right on.
And so now it's like, you know, what's their journey going to be like? Well, you know, I'd love to help foster that night. And then, you know, I tell them, reach out to me anytime you have questions, but here, you know, grab this book and go online, check out some articles. Trout Bitten is a great, really awesome site. He's got great information. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I think as a new fly fisher person should do, but the biggest one that I could suggest is don't let anybody tell you you're ever doing it wrong. Just don't be an asshole. Don't lowhole people, pick up trash, and don't litter. I think those little basics right there is enough premise to just go out and have a good time, and that can get you started in the right direction as long as you go in open-minded too. Yeah, you're gonna have fun, man. But
hell yeah. That's all.
Don't ever let anybody ever tell you that you're doing it wrong, because you're not doing it the way they are. Yeah. That's my other biggest piece of advice, because that can easily shut you down, man. I've watched it happen on the water. I've watched other guides tell my clients to put the fish back in the water. It's like, wait a minute, dude, I'm guiding over here. This person's new. I know how long we can hold that fish out of the water. I've been fishing my whole life. The guy just picked it up for a thing, and it's like, it ruined that guy's day. Sort of, he felt bad.
Yeah.
Because he's just a nice person, you know? And it's like that type of stuff. I said, dude, don't let it bother you, man. It's all good. You know, it's just another guy trying to instill his, I'm better than that type of mentality on you, bro. You know, you kept it wet. You got your hands wet. You didn't squeeze it. And you held it nice, and we put it in, like, you did it perfect as a catch and release, which, you know, hero shots too. That's another thing that's like, somebody's going to tell you, you know, don't hold your fish out, but that's to each his own, right? Type of thing. So,
yeah. Amen, dude. So I'm not sure if it was the first time I saw you online, but what initially stuck out to me was your special beers that you drink on the boat. And so can you give like a quick rundown of the recipe, or maybe even your favorite like alterations or evolutions of what other people have done with that?
So, you know, it's real weird, dude, because you know, I actually just got a message today from somebody who just started fly fishing. He texted me on social media, and he skates, and he just got into it. He fucking loves it. He found Taco Flyco, and then he hits me up and he's like, hey, like, what's up with these special beers, bro? I'm like, oh, here you go. Here's my first episode on my YouTube channel is how to make them. So for your listeners, I don't need to get into because it's kind of like complicated, and I've done it like on a couple of videos, but
I'll link to that.
yeah, if you just go to the YouTube page, it's episode 1 of my YouTube channel is how to make special beers exactly the way I do it.
Well, I really just asked you because I wanted to I wanted to ask if anyone ever called it a fishalada.
A fishalada. That's so good, dude. I love that. That's so funny. We were actually just making fun of some of the names people give it, which is totally fine because I'm just doing a rendition of a specific style of serving beers and then also modifying it to a way that I love to, drink it. But
the special part is that it's on the boat, man.
Oh, dude, it's outside, and it's just, I think it's just such a cool way to, if you have friends that like to have beers on the water, and it's a cool way to like build a conversation and break ice. And when you're cooking it, it's almost like you're sitting around a campfire. Yeah, you're cooking these beers up, bro. Like it's like you're sitting like around like a Weber. Yeah. And you're the one cooking the beers, and people are just like watching
the ritual.
You.
The ritual.
Yeah, it's the ritual is what I think is really sent this phenomenon. I wonder when the special beer will die. I've been actually contemplating that in my brain because special beers really helped Taco Flyco try to get on the map in the fly fishing industry and in the community. How about
that? I mean, I told you that's what stuck out to me. I don't know why why that is such a thing, but it really did.
It's Taco so fucking weird, man.
The Taco is a great brand in itself, right?
Yeah.
But that first episode definitely stuck. I think it did with a lot of folks for some reason.
Yeah, it's really weird, and it's I think the small crack of the can, like you got to practice the crack and then putting the lime juice and then everything on top of that, which I actually just got to take out the guy fly fishing for the first time who taught me that technique when I was a teenager. Yeah. My brother's best friend.
When you were 21 years old.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when I was 21 years old. And I just got to take him fly fishing for the first time, and he brought some Tecates, and we were on my boat, and he's like, he knows all about the whole special beer phenomenon and everything. He's my brother's best friend, my brother's brother-in-law. He watched me grow up as a kid. And he's like, do you remember when I taught you this? I was like, dude, I was just about to bring that up. He's like, it's so crazy how far this has gone. And then I had another friend I hadn't seen in a long time. And he's like, do you remember when you showed me the crack and the small crack and the stack with the lime and the salt, like when we were in like our early 20s? I go, dude, I don't. But he's like, dude, you showed me at a party. Like, so I've been kind of stepping up special beers forever, which is so weird.
That was kind of a dumb throwaway question, to be totally honest. But like now we're getting all deep about it, and really like what you showcased through that was like a total sense of camaraderie, right? Like you're getting
100% is
like you just said, like around the campfire to do something together, not just cracking a beer and sitting on the boat. There's a whole thing with it.
Yeah.
I came across for sure.
I think that so I grew up skateboarding, right? You get to a skate park and you're with like 8 of your friends, 5 of your friends, maybe just 3 of your friends. And there's like a moment of the day where you start, and then there's a moment of the day where you're resting and you're just bullshitting, and that I think that bullshitting part of the day of going fishing with your friends and your girlfriends and your family and your dogs and everybody, you're not like, oh, I got to get to the hole first, and did I catch more fish than this person? Or it just takes out of all of that, like that level of, I don't even know how to explain it. It just brings in a moment of, we're just out here having a good time and bullshitting. And it's kind of just adds that vibe to the fishing experience of the day. And I think that's why it's taken off so much is it adds that level, which already has been done with many beers along the way, but there's something about cooking up that special beer that makes it just amplify a little bit more. And it's hard to define, but I'm glad it happened. And I'm glad so many people around the world, man. I've had special beers images sent from me, like from Japan, dude.
Hell yeah.
And it's like, yeah, and it's crazy. And they're just like, me and my friends are doing this now. And it's like, whoa, that's fucking dope, because it's them sitting at the back of a truck, cooking up a beer, probably talking shit about the day, and like having this really special moment with each other. And yeah, it's rad. It's really, really cool. It's insane.
Hey man, I'll link to the video. I'm
Cool,
sure most
cool.
most of the people that are listening to this probably are familiar, but for those that haven't, now you're gonna see, and
Yeah.
you'll probably want to drink one.
I've always like thought about too, like the guy who knows about the special beer and he fucking hates them because he just can't stand it. And he sees like a group of guys doing it over here in the fucking parking lot. Is like, God damn it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a big beer guy, and I have a problem. Like I try them all the time, like a michelada. Like it's like I usually don't like it, you know.
Yeah.
But the special beer isn't a full all in michelada. It's
No.
like you get a little bit of it, so it's enough for me.
Yeah.
It works. But the reason I brought you on the show, man, was to talk about the Trinity. Long ago, we traded a few text messages about the Trinity. My buddy Steve and I were too cheap and stubborn to hire a guide on one of our trips. And like, I think it was the second time we went out there. And the first time I believe we got skunked. At least I did. Steve, maybe not. And so we started texting some guides that we had never talked to. And we got, different conflicting advice from all of them. but we were sitting at the Indian Creek Lodge. I'm wearing my Indian Creek Lodge shirt.
Oh, sick.
I didn't even plan this, swear
Nice.
to God, but I did it. And we were sitting at the lodge and we started texting people. Yours, I don't know what it was, but it came off most believable via text for some reason. And we did what you told us, and we both caught a fish the next day, and I'm not kidding. So thank you.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, my pleasure, man.
And
super cool.
Yeah. So when did you start fishing the Trinity?
I started so it's so weird. I've been trying to lock down the dates and I've conflicted myself in some of this information, but it started in 2013. So 10 years ago. Well, actually December 2022 is when it started, and sorry, 2012. I was just trying to get into fly fishing. I got invited to go with my brother's homie, and that's how I got introduced to it. And then I fell in love with it. It's like immediately, like that week. And so it's been about so a decade, just over a decade now of consistent trips there. I moved there when I left San Jose 7 years ago.
You
so
went
crazy to think.
to Weaverville, or where were you?
Lewiston, California.
In Lewiston, yeah.
Yep, I'm still on the same property now. I rent a room there, and yeah, dude. People ask. I've been asked like, I don't know, 3 times over the last 2-3 weeks, dude. Like, where would you fish if you could fish? And I always just say the Trin, man. Like, yeah, if like I could get this magic pill where somebody could just zip me off to somewhere, man. And like, I mean, of course I'd love to go go get a peacock bass or arapaima or a giant tarpon or swing up a skeena fucking steelhead. But dude, that shit's not fucking, it's just not, that is dreaming, and I've already had my dream come true, bro. And it's the Trinity. So
the Trinity's
like,
your spot. I didn't know it was
that's it.
I knew that you were, that it was a river that you guide on, and you knew well. I didn't know that it was that special to you.
Dude, it 100% is, man.
Well, I've heard you say that it saved your life. Do you want to explain that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. And I've sort of explained this story before, and like this is something too that I haven't touched on in quite a bit, but I feel so comfortable now talking about it because it's super important. And it's not something that I think that it's also people kind of like with the day and age, we're so judgmental with each other, and especially on social media and even in our news cycle, like everybody's so judgy on each other and they don't know someone's complete backstory. And even myself,
pick a side, right? Everything's line in the sand, everything.
It's so
right? Yeah.
It's really crazy. You either believe this way, you believe that way, or I don't like that guy because he does it this way, or blah 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 blah. But I actually had suffered from pretty severe, I still do, from mental illness, like in a way where it got bad, like really bad. And this is like an ode to what people say out loud, man. I mean, songs have been made about it. It's super important to know that there's somebody out there that can listen to you and will listen to you when you're in that spot. And they helped me, and I was there. I look back and I'm like, dude, I mean, like how sad was I at that point in my life? Well, it was pretty gnarly. It was bad. I think that the biggest part was like the person on the phone that I called, which was the suicide hotline. They basically were like, it's okay to feel the way you feel, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I can't really express like everything they said because I was in such a crazy space that at that phone call, but they kind of give you like a reflection, like you know, who loves you? Maybe you feel like no one does at that moment. What do you love? And immediately, dude, in my head, it was fucking steelheading. And it was like, boom. It was like, oh shit, I got to call my mom. And I called my mom, told her what I had been through and where I was at. And she's just like, Mijo, she came over. It was like 4 a.m. And she's like, and I was like, I just got to get out of here. I got to leave. Where are you going to go? I'm going to go to the Trinity River. It was like that, dude. It was like literally, it was, what is the thing you think of?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Steelheading.
Well,
that's what makes me happiest.
Yeah. Well, it's the theme of the season, to be totally honest. I know you haven't heard my show, but all the episodes of this second season of my show, I plug 2 organizations that are all about mental health, you know,
that's awesome, dude.
For folks, right? Fishing the Good Fight is one of them.
Oh, and, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I've struggled with it myself, man. And luckily I hadn't made that extreme phone call myself. I have support at home that helped me get into different modes of help for myself. And this show's helping me a lot because I'm meeting folks like you and talking about stuff, you know, that I love. And
it's cool, huh?
It's a creative outlet for me. I get, you know, if I don't, I've been a musician my whole life. And if I'm not being creative, you know, I just get, things just start going wrong
yeah
in my brain, you know what I mean? So I mean that's cool that the Trinity is like that's your spot. I mean that's what that's what kind of gets you through the worst of it, right?
Yeah. Oh, 100%, man. And I appreciate you sharing that, Marty. I think it's important to be open about it. And you know, I think that
I'm poking all kinds of fun at myself about it on this season, so it's, you know.
Well, it's awesome, dude. You got to be open about it, and it's not unmanly, or it's not, you know, to talk about your feelings or to say how open you are about how sad you can be or depressed or, you know, anxious and stuff. It's actually okay for us people who are open about it. I share my story because I want people who are so intimidated by, you just need to get over it, that mentality, or these kids are too soft these days, that type of talk. You know, that is just, there's science that proves mental illness is a real ailment.
Well, it's tough. It's tough for dudes. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's important to just acknowledge and say it. So yeah, man, that river is crazy. And like, I owe it 100% to the lady that owns the property that I stay on now. Like, she was just like, you need to get out of San Jose. And I was partying hard, dude, at the time, and just in a bad place. She offered that to me. So knowing that was there, like, and knowing that was an opportunity, it was like, all right, that's where I'm going to go. And I'm still there, and wouldn't be possible without her, but I still would have got to the Trinity River. I just knew it. Like, there was nothing stopping me. That was it.
So why do you call it one of the best places to catch your first steelhead?
I would say there's a few reasons. Number one, there's something about that place. It's got the spiritual feeling to me. You know, I've accessed most of it down the whole river from the dam down. Well, I haven't really gone past to the Hoopa Reservation.
I was gonna ask how deep. That's a question later on in the thing. I was gonna ask you how deep you went, because I haven't gone super deep into the Trinity.
Yeah, I've floated down in the Hoopa Res. I loved it. It was actually really cool, and everyone I met was really nice. I would say, like, there's something.
Everyone I met was super nice, like that you've heard otherwise. I didn't know.
Oh yes, 100%.
There's that documentary, right? What, Murder Mountain? Isn't that the one? Yeah, like,
that's like on the other side of like Hayfork and stuff. But
yeah,
you know, it's the res is the res, man. You know, they are the Hoopa, and you know, if they don't want you there, they don't want you there. And you're going to find out very quickly, or maybe you'll find out when you get to your car that you weren't wanted. Everyone has different stories about what to experience there. Mine is, you know, I've traveled the world, man. I'm not scared of going into a spot that has been discussed as being hostile. Like, I've been to really hostile places on the planet. You approach it in a way. I approach it in a way where I'm, hey, how's it going? You know, I'm happy to be there. I'm just happy to be around. So I wasn't intimidated to go fishing there. Plus, I saw other people down there. and I might get, lynched for fucking saying this out loud online, but it's not a secret. I mean, you should discover anything that's around you. And if somebody tells you something in fishing, I've quickly learned that where it tries to give you fear, they're probably just trying to keep you out of that spot. Honestly, there are things I've heard about a lot of different watersheds in California that people keep secret, but I'd say just go there, find out yourself. And if it happens, it happens. Share your story, whatever. But, so it has this, Trinity just has this special something for me. It's just got I don't know. I'm not religious in a way, but I'm like connected to like, I really am like about my connection with, Mother Earth, and who gave me life, who gives us all life and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go down that pathway, but something about the Trinity it just, when people go there, I get this, like, I've taken so many people down it, they feel it too. It's that's the number one part.
I agree with you.
It's got this something there.
You feel it when you get there for sure.
Oh, 100%. And I think it's also because it's accessible too for a lot of us people who aren't, lucky enough to live in that area of California or the Pacific Northwest or, on the banks of Alaska and stuff. Like, it's accessible. So, but once you access that type of forest and that type of water, you kind of understand like we're why certain poems are written about beauty, why certain stories are written about beauty, and why certain songs are written about beauty. It's got that there 100%. Yeah. And then, so that's the first part, right? And then the second part is the number of fish, right? There are a lot of fish in that river, and this is that other thing that like immediately, like any person who's new, you'll learn, especially steelheading. Oh my God, there's just so many fucking opinions about how to do it. What's a steelhead? What isn't a steelhead? And blah, blah, blah. That rabbit hole just is the worst one to go down. Just know that you're fishing a watershed where these trout do go to the ocean and they do come back up. It's a fucking steelhead. And there's a lot of them in that river. And while they're not like these big giant coastals or these big chromers, like they do turn into trout up there. There's a good number of them in there. And that helps increase your chances of hooking one, which is the like sacred of sacreds, right? Like you hook a steelhead on a fly rod. It's totally possible at the Trinity. And the numbers are there. And that's the other reason, like, I'd say it's like, a great place to go catch a steelhead. So the beauty and then the numbers. And then number 3, the ability to try so many different techniques.
Accessibility. The techniques too. Absolutely. You could, it's one of those places where you could go and if you were one of those guys that brings like 3 or 4 rods, like walking, like you could bring a bunch of shit and like
you could do it all, man. And you have a fly tying podcast. So it's like someone tied a sick fly that they want to skate for a steelhead, go to the Trinity and go skate a fly there. Like you got a swing it fly you want to swing, that's the place to do it. You go to sick ass nymph you want to check or try out and check nymph or whatever, go to the Trin. Like you can use it's got so many different types of water. You've got pools, you've got riffles, you've got buckets, you've got it's giant pools.
It's not that big across either, right? So like you don't have to be like an all-star caster. Yeah, if you're over in that part for sure.
Yeah, you don't have to be, that's the other part that's great is it's a great introduction. Right. There's a lot more pinch points, as you said, like up top, like the higher part of the Trinity is kind of like a smaller trout river in some perspective. When you're introduced to steelheading in the fly fishing industry, you're introduced to the skeena, the eel, all these giant like rivers, these big rivers that you can drive in huge mega aluma welds. Like now you could go wade fish the Trinity, man, and you could cover a lot of water. There's tons of water. I mean, 100.
Bunch of spots. This is part of bunch of accessible spots for sure.
100%, man. It's seriously pull off the side of the road and go try the spot. You'll probably catch a fish. I have my favorite spots, and I know there's some spots that produce more than others, but you can catch a fish anywhere on that river, really.
It's it's special to me too because it's the first I caught my first steelhead without a guide on it. Like like you're saying, like I caught bigger fish with guides before it, but the one that I caught there on my own with my buddy was like way more special,
That's so cool, man. That's really rad.
So what do you hate about the Trinity then?
What do I hate about the Trinity? I'm a guide there. I'm so lucky to have that opportunity, dude. It's such a blessing. It's really, really, I can't even express it. It's one of the best jobs on the planet. It's very hard. I finally understand why some guides are grumpy. It's a very tiring and it's taxing. You're away from your family. Oh, dude, it's cold. It's all of the above. It checks all of the above.
You're staring at butts all day. Isn't that something you said before too?
Yeah. Staring at asses all day long. What I hate most about the Trinity, man, is the competitiveness, and it's
competitiveness amongst the guides.
Yeah, I'd say so. And it's just you have this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place and this amazing spot where most of the time, and this is how when I was there, when I started going there, I'd be like, hey, what up?
Yeah, the guy going, can't you all just get along, man? We don't see it.
Well,
that's anglers on your boat don't see it.
Yeah, I know. Once I like said what's up to the first person, not guiding but fishing there, and they didn't say back, I was like, what the fuck was that? And then I quickly realized that's just kind of how fly fishing is, and not everyone's the friendliest, and it's rare, but it's there. Then I got into guiding. And dude, it was there. And it's the one thing that irks me. Obviously, I just got done with my 4th season on the river. So I'm coming to year 5 this next season, which is awesome. That's the only thing I say. Like, I love the weather. I love how it's gnarly. I love how it's like, it could blow out. I love all of the complexities and everything that's hard. But that's the one thing that I can't stand is the competitiveness between another human being on a place that's so beautiful. It's so pretty and so rad, and everyone's mostly just stoked to be there. And then you got this just vibe coming down that's just not friendly at all. And that right there is just like, God, man. And I'm so much better now, letting him ruin my day. There was like a couple days, maybe last year, where it was like, I'm saying last year, my 3rd year, where it was like, fuck that guy. And it's like, I'm not going to let him win, man. It's like, I was maybe grumpy too, but at the same time, it's all right, man. He's probably having a bad day.
Before you get all pissed off, it's good to remember everybody's got some shit going on. Before you get all pissed off, it's good to remember everybody's got some shit going on. Some shit going on.
His girlfriend's mouth probably stinks and he's just bummed, And I'm sorry, brother. Your girlfriend doesn't brush her teeth. I'm just kidding. That's how I think in my head,
From the not the guiding side of things, I think most of people's complaints are crowds. They can get crowded. But I feel like they're like every time I've been there, we've been able to find a stretch where you might okay, maybe there's somebody that you can see, but they're not fucking up your program or anything like that, but usually finding a spot where we don't see anybody, and the other one is and maybe I don't go in the prime times, maybe that's why also, but the other one's the weather too, and I like the weather too, one of my favorite days fishing the Trinity was in the snow, and it was badass. You lose me?
Glitched a little bit. They come back though.
That's okay. I was just saying that one of my favorite days fishing the Trinity was in the snow, and it was
dude, yeah,
it was awesome.
I've had my best days by far have been in the most most difficult weather up there, and this year proved it 10 times over, man. That if you could get up there when it's gnarly, and if the river's not blown muddy, you're gonna increase your chances by a significant amount. You just got to tough it out. You got to invest in the good gear so that you're not pushed off the water, and it could be rewarded. And plus, it's just kind of for me, it's just a nice little rude awakening from Mama Nature, going, "You were made for this. You need layers of wool and protection to survive this, buddy." So I love that nice reminder from that she owns it all, dude, and especially on the Trinity, it'll beat your ass there, dude.
Well, Yeah, I mean, let's talk a little bit about a little more technical about the river. Like we've had a lot of rain this year, and we've had a couple years not too far back where we had big water events too. Like, how quickly does the Trinity like fall back into shape after something like that? Like,
That's like that's really valuable information, buddy.
Yeah. How many days did you actually get to fish like in this season this year?
So this is like something too that's like some people can keep tight-lipped, and it's like if you hire a guide, and I'm not just saying this to promote my service or anybody's service, but if you hire a guide that works on the river, that's going to get your best. That's going to be your best bet for direct information because you establish that relationship with that person. They're there on a frequent basis, and they can give you a first-hand report. The other is call Herbie or Darren at the Trinity Fly Shop. They're going to be straight up with you, man. They're going to always tell you
Herb's
like
great.
what's going on. Yeah, he's the best.
I'd have to say that it took me a couple trips in there to what I feel like was getting real good info. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't think he was going to give it up right away.
No, he does. Dude, he really does. It might not seem like it. He's just like a poet, dude. The way he talks to you.
You might be right. Okay.
It's maybe in rhyme.
Maybe I didn't know how to take it.
You learn how to read what he says to you when you know him over the years. But he's pretty straight up, man. I think obviously it's like, hey, yeah, I'm coming up. What's the water like? No, you got to say, hey, what's up, man? How's it going? My name is blah, blah, blah. How are you doing? I've never been to your shop. I'd like to go into your shop, and not bullshit.
It's a great shop.
It's a great shop.
It's a great shop. And like, they would like trim flies for like I'd buy some flies and they'd be trimming them to be a little better, when you right in front of you on the counter to like help you out. I mean, they're great. Like I love stopping in those shops every time, and I hope they're awesome. And Trinity's one of them.
Yeah, it's great, and he'll give you a good information. And to answer your question, when the river blows out, it is fishable pretty soon after. You have a tailwater that's connected to. I mean, I forget how many tributaries there are all the way down, but not all of those tributaries will continue to stay blown out for long. I would say, if anything, there's in this year was my year. I kind of proved a lot of like the ideas and the beliefs I had on the amount of inches of rain in 24 hours and when it would blow out and when it would open up. And my formula is basically like, if you get an inch in 24 hours, it's going to be blown up at the top down. And that's because of Deadwood Creek up at the top. It has mud. And this is all stuff just by being there. It's not a secret. Obviously, I lived there the whole winter, and there's fires that burn down all of the trees where Deadwood Creek comes from. So mud comes into that and it'll stay blown out. And how long, dude, is seriously dependent on so much. But I would say, if you're going to go up there after it does blow out, I would try to go at least 2 to 3 days after, and expect other tributaries to be blown out as you go top down, and learn that, go up there, support this local economy. You're going to be able to find a spot to fish, and you don't need crystal clear water. My whole thing, I mean, I fished. The only water I did not fish this year is when I could not see the smoker label on my Smoker Bandit oars. If I couldn't read smoker when I put it in the water, I'm not fishing that. But if I could read it when it's down just a little bit, I'm going to fish that. And I nymph, and I also swing, but I mostly nymph with a lot of my clients. And, you only really need a foot of visibility to catch a steelhead. But I mean, are fishing conditions good? No, but you're outside, you're out there, and you're going to go to the Lewiston Hotel and grab a brew, maybe go talk to some people up there and meet the characters. But it does clear up pretty quickly. I would say, if you are going to go DIY it up there and you don't want to shoot, if you got to get the babysitter for the kids, you got to get the approval from the husband or the wife.
Yeah.
You got to, get all those ducks in a row. Yeah. So I would say you need to, now you can hit me up and I might tell you when it's good to go. But plan that, say you planned your trip on a Saturday, dude, and it blew out on Thursday. Saturday might not be a good go. But
I ask that for the folks like myself, that want to go so bad, and they gotta time it. They gotta get the time off work. They gotta make sure that the kids don't have T-ball for those 3 days and all these other things. You know what I mean? That you get. Man, it sucks so bad when you get there and like you can't do anything.
Yeah, dude.
Like, so it's good to know. Give it a few days. We've had a lot of rain this year. I live real close to the Lower American River, and for weeks now it's been huge. It's just now for somebody that's waiting, no boat, getting back into the shape. And I mean, I'm recording this in April. I don't know when I'm going to release it, but those are the important things when you're trying to plan these trips, like myself. Right?
100%,
really
dude.
looking for those things, right? Yeah. The other stuff is like, what are five flies that you would recommend somebody have in their box going up to the Trinity? And I know this stuff probably changes a little bit by season, but like, what are some like general ideas?
So what I'll do is, why wouldn't I would break it down like this, because I say I did probably 90% nymph trips this season. I did 2 swing trips. Sorry. I did do 2 swing trips that were like dedicated 100% swinging.
Those are
they just wanted to swing.
Requested by them. Yeah.
Just wanted to swing the whole time. But then I did a bunch of combo trips where we would pull over and then swing and then go back to nymphing. And then I did a lot of nymphing trips. So I'll give it in the perspective like this. 5 flies that you need to have on the Trinity River. Number 1, always have a rubber leg. Always throw a rubber leg.
Yeah.
Always, 100%. Now have black, have coffee black, have olive black, have yellow, brown.
Box of those just for the Trinity.
There you go. Yeah, always have a rubber leg. I mean, black's perfectly fine. Black with olive legs. That gets seen a lot up there because they sell black with olive at the fly shop. So do black with maroon legs, do black with checkered legs, do black with checkered legs with the black and the yellow legs. That's a good one.
You can weight them, make them heavy. Yeah.
Make them heavy. Definitely add lead inside of your wrap. It's clutch. Size, I would say for the rubber leg, if I had one size for the Trinity, I would probably go with the size 6. It's kind of like in between. There are times I've thrown 4s, 2s, and then 8s are good, 10s are good too. I would say a size 6. So rubber leg for sure. And then the standard, man, when you find flies around in the Trinity, let's say like connected to a fly rod that have fallen off of a boat, like I have a couple times, maybe like 4 or 5 times, always got to have a red copper john, dude.
Sure.
I mean, that's just like a trout standard setup, right? Like a rubber leg and a red copper john. If you could take that setup anywhere and nymph it, swing it, high stick it, whatever, like strip it, I think you're going to catch a trout somewhere. You can present that combination or that one of those 2 flies in different ways and catch fish. The third, I'd say, so that would be like nymphing, right? I'll add some bonuses on there, but so you're going to bring your swing rod, I would definitely 100% at all times grab a Mr. Pimp from Trinity Fly Shop.
Yeah, the Mr. Pimp. Hell yeah.
The Mr. Pimp, man. You got to have that.
Herb pointed toward, he gave me one of those the first time I went in there. So I can't say that he didn't give me good info the first time I went in there. Like I had to work for it or something. But like,
dude,
he does.
That fly is great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a great fly. We've caught fish on them at Pyramid Lake. I've caught fish on them at Almanor, at Lake Davis. I've swung them on the Feather in Oroville. They just worked, man. And there's different sizes. So the Mr. Pimp, maybe a size 6 as well. That's a nice, medium size right there. The Trinity fish, you don't have to have a really big, streamer to.
Yeah. It's kind of a woolly bugger variation, really.
Yeah, woolly bugger variation for sure. And then I would say, well, I don't want to get into the dry fly stuff because. I mean, well, yeah, 5 size, because if you have it, you want to have it, right? So, the punk rocker from Herb. So
I haven't seen that one. What's that one? Yeah.
So we call it the punk rocker. Now, see, this is again my dyslexia thing. This part, this is like seriously, like when it comes to the names, flies and bugs and stuff. That's where I sort of struggle as a guide.
I'm not an
It's
entomologist.
insane,
Man.
dude.
I don't
It's
know
insane.
these things, yeah.
Oh man, I can remember Red Copper John because it rhymes with Red Copper Juan. You know what I mean? Or Golden Stone because I like to get stoned. Like there's just like a lot of different ways for me to remember. Punk Rocker from Herb. I actually was just looking at it seriously like yesterday with my clients in the boat. We were on the lower Sac and there were fish coming up for PMDs and I have PMD flies, but I'm like, dude, I bet you if I threw the Punk Rocker, that would get bit over the PMD rep. You know, it's just such a good fly. It's got basically the deer hair in the front. It's put up like a Punk Rocker mohawk and then just an olive body with a small little tail with some coq de leon, or I think that's what it's called, right? The little
like
and
yeah.
yeah, I think that's what it's called. I'm like looking at my pegboard over here with all my fly tying stuff. I'm like, I don't know what that's called. I don't know what that's called. I don't know what that's called.
I don't have any. So
I would have one with you because you never know when you might come up to a run, dude, and there might actually be a steelhead eating on a dry fly there. There are specific times of the year where it is better, but just have that in your box.
I casted to some for about an hour one time.
Oh, sick. There you go.
With no luck. But
did you have a Punk Rocker?
No, maybe that's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll blame that.
Yeah, dude, go. That's another one from Trinity. It's such a great fly. What I'll do is maybe I'll look it up online and I'll send it to you so you could put it in your notes.
Okay,
so people
cool,
will know what the pattern is. And lastly, a Paratagon. I would say a Paratagon in the size of, well, that's the other thing with the Trinity. I would say 14, a size 14 Paratagon, just like any Paratagon variation. Specifically just to kind of I love purple. I love purple on that river. It does really well. I love orange on that river. I like pink variations, maybe pink on the head, brown on the back. You know, you could do a pink bead, any Paratagon variation. I'd say that that's 5, right?
Yeah, I think it's 5.
Yeah, that's 5 flies. If you had 5 in your box on the Trinity, you're going to catch a steelhead.
Cool. Yeah,
sure.
I caught that one I told you about my first spot on my own on a purple cycle print. So yeah, purple. I can test for purple there for sure.
I love the dude. I was in love with purple cycle prints for years, and I still throw them sometimes. I still put them out there. Paratagons for me lately have been a killer, man. In all trout fishing, really. I mean, it's such a dynamic fly. You could do so much with it. There's so many ways to fish it. Yeah, man. When you need to get down quick there, those Paratagons, they just do it. And I mean, I was throwing even size 18 Paratagons this year. So yeah, I'd say those flies on the Trinity River, you're good. You're good to go. Try your variations. Try things that look different than what you would see online. Trinity gets hit hard up top. As you go lower, not so hard, but it gets hard with the standard flies. So, if you try to tie a purple psycho, add a little variation that looks a little different. Just something else. Maybe make it skinnier or add amber wings as opposed to white wings.
That's the fun part anyway, man.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's such a weird place because it does prove so much that when you do throw something different, man, it's all of a sudden you're getting bites and it's just changing it up just a little bit.
Wow, that's good. That's a good tip.
Yeah. So small ones, man. I mean, those fish can see small stuff. So like small variations really makes a big difference. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly what you told me when I told you texted me some info, but I remember one part of it. You telling me that going small was part of it. I don't remember exactly what else, but that was
sick, dude.
The tip that you gave me. That worked. So
awesome, man. I'm stoked to hear that.
So
really cool.
Not fishing related tips, but what about food in Lewiston or Douglas City or something like that?
Oh, man.
What's good? What would you go to if you had to get some, after a long day?
This is actually obviously because Taco Flyco, right? Like I just got tacos today. Like traveling and fishing and putting food along with my journey is it's worth as much as the fishing experience, man. Like it really is, especially a bar, right? Like I love going to bars and meeting locals and blah, blah, blah. So Lewiston. All right. If you're staying in the Lewiston, Weaverville area, okay, I'll go from morning till night. Okay, if you're in Weaverville and you're on a weekday, go to Mama Llama. Mama Llama has great smoothies. They've got cool breakfast sandwiches. This is the Weaverville area. They're unfortunately not open until 8:30. And then they're not open on the weekends. Let's see, another spot out there. The Nugget is just OG. The Nugget is they've got boysenberry syrup, which is awesome. So if you like the coffee and an egg and a pancake, it's really, really good. There's a new empanada spot that's opened up. They're great. I love the empanadas. They're really, really good.
Oh yeah. All right.
And then
that's a perfect boat snack right there.
Yeah. Oh, dude, they're so good. And the people that own it are just really awesome. They're really expensive. They are $6 or $8 an empanada, man, which is kind of gnarly.
Yeah.
But they're worth it. They're worth it. So yeah, I'll go location. So then Weaverville, you like pizza? Tangle Blue has pretty good pizza. Get the pizza over there. Now I'm not talking about Raleigh Bertos because Raleigh Bertos is Mexican food, but it's good. I do like Raleigh Bertos. I like the carnitas there. It's pretty bomb. Give it a go. It is mountain Mexican food, you know. They do have a really good California burrito, actually. So that's when, you know, Cali burritos are kind of like I don't really get them ever, but when I really need carbs and meat and protein,
a safe bet too when you're not sure about something else, you know. Yeah. I'm from Southern California. And I love Mexican food. I gotta eat it every day. You know,
oh, dude, I love it so much.
That being said, the California burrito, totally like a safe bet. And I'm not someone who orders. I don't even really order carne asada usually. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude. Yeah, their California burrito is pretty dang good, man. So I mean, that kind of sums up Weaverville. There's other places you can try. My two favorite spots by far, 100% when I'm there. I actually almost stopped there on my way back home today. Is the Smokehouse Market? It's in Lewiston. Jared is the best, dude. He's from Oklahoma, and the way he talks, he's so cool. And he's got like this big giant smoker out front. He smokes meats every day, all the time. They just upgraded their spot. They serve micheladas, dude, in the morning.
Does he talk
open
like
at 7?
Like how you think people from Texas talk? Like,
well, you know, he's Oklahoma, you know.
Yeah.
He's all, what's up, Mario? You know, he's my boy, dude. He's so cool. And then Eric works there. He's the best too. And he's from Oklahoma, but he kind of has a little twang. But they do serve micheladas. They have great breakfast sandwiches. They do serve great coffees and such. And they actually have a great lunch and dinner menu. But dinner, got to go to the Lewiston Hotel. That's my family. I love them. They have great burgers. They always have a special every night. They've got a pool table, great beers on tap. It's just a great vibe there. Dude, I was there all season for the last all winter, dude, for the last 4 years. That food is pretty good. You know, it's bar food, but they got great specials, man. And it changes every day. You could try different things, and it's a great spot. So I would say that's probably, like, off the top of my head, that kind of sums them all up. I mean, I could keep going, man, but I think that's enough for your listeners to go.
There's a surprising amount of options for a small area. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, I'll tell you what, though. February didn't have anything. There was nothing open. Everything was closed. Yeah, I mean, I had to rely on Lewiston Hotel. It was pretty nuts. So,
well, yeah, food's important, man, and it's half of the planning of every trip for me. You know what I mean? It's like, what am I gonna eat?
Yeah, dude.
So, hey, one last question I always ask everybody on my show is totally unrelated to any fly fish or anything, but do you have any paranormal stories? Any weird stories you can share with me?
Oh man,
anything? UFOs, Bigfoot, ghosts, near death experience, you know, anything, you know.
So I'm actually like super open to this, man. I really, really, really want to see this. Like, I really want to encounter something that is supernatural. I really want to encounter something that's like, I don't know, blow your mind. And I gotta say,
humbling.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I gotta say too, man, like, there really isn't much. There really isn't anything off the top of my head that has like stuck out for years on end, or where I really, really, really got scared. And I'm trying to. I'm letting the universe know, like, please give me something. Like, I need to get scared. I want to encounter that thing. But at the top of my head, man, I really don't know. And I don't know if that's like comes from like this, like wanting it too bad type of thing. I love hearing these stories. Like I love hearing the stories about people walking when they don't hear nothings. I still do though, dude. I still run inside the house when it's complete darkness behind me.
Yeah, it's like something's coming. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No,
I get that little
feeling. Yeah, I know.
I get that little pep in my step, and I go and I gotta make it inside the house and close the door behind me.
Yeah, I used to get it when I had to go feed my dogs. Like, so I grew up, or part of my teenage years in Placerville, like in the woods, and got really dark, no car sounds or anything around at night, and would go out to feed the dogs at night. And like drop the food and just kind of haul ass back to the house, But
yeah, man, I still get that sometimes. Funny story. I'll end it with this. So where I live at in Lewiston, I had to poop in holes for a long time because I didn't have access to the toilet of the main house.
All right.
This year I do now. So I have access to the toilet now. That's great.
Plus.
Oh yeah, it's great. I love pooping in the forest, man. It's a great feeling. It's sort of like relaxing. And when I first moved out there and I was doing it, like when I first started guiding out there, because when I moved there on the property, I had a toilet. But when I first started guiding out there, I had a spot that was a dry shed with no water, no power, nothing. I saw a mountain lion, dude, this season. That was seriously down the street from my house. That was huge. And now I'm thinking, like, in my head, I will never, ever again go in that forest in the middle of the night if I'm having a problem and I got to go relieve myself. I don't even care. Like, I'll go like right outside my door.
Yeah, there couldn't be a worse way to go,
Dude, now that I know that live there, like, I have this different fear for the darkness in Lewiston now, man. 110%. This thing was giant. Like it was huge and it was right by my house. Wow. And now that I know that big girl, big guy, whatever sex it was, lives right next to me, makes me a little bit more scared of the dark out there, brother.
Man, that is scary. That's so much. Yeah, that's terrifying. Yeah. That's way worse than a bear for some reason, I don't know why.
That you don't hear him coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you imagine me sitting there and he's just staring at me?
Squatting,
looking at the stars.
Pants at your ankles. I'm picturing it right now. So, but as back to the paranormal stuff, if you're open to it, that's what they say, right? Anybody trying to make contact in like all these CE5, like you ever heard of those where they're like group meditations and shit to like
no, I've never heard of it.
Communicate with aliens or whatever's out there. It's all intuition, right? Like you gotta want it. You gotta be humble and like be ready and like invite this thing in, and supposedly it'll happen. So as long as you have that, something weird's bound to happen one of these days, right?
I'm ready, man. I need it. I think it would be great for my like. I think it would just be great for my grounding. You know what I mean? Like I need a.
Dear Lord, Father, hive mind operator, puppet master, or creator of our simulated earthly realm, please find it in your heart of hearts to grant me the good fortune of seeing with mine own two eyes some extraordinary visage like a glistening orb, throbbing chalice, juicy mermaid, virile Bigfoot, floating talisman, cursed goblin, bewinged angel, gilded scepter, or some other of your many unique otherworldly delights. Please, I beg of thee, I am but a humble toad in your service, and to be able to view one of your rare, magnificent works would make mine life complete. Amen.
Totally humble.
I feel like I need something right now. I've kind of gotten a good satisfaction in life. I've had a little bit of angst lately, and I feel good. I feel like I'm in a good spot. I just need to spice it up a little bit, and seeing a ghost.
Something supernatural.
Be a bad thing.
Fuck you, Mario.
It'd be dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like, I think it's like if I saw that UFO or that thing moving in the sky, I'd be like, I knew it. I was right. And because I know we're not alone, man. And I'm open to it. And I feel like they're around.
There are folks out there that are way into this stuff. I mean, I'm pretty into this stuff, but
I was gonna say I'm ready. That's another reason for us to like hang out. I just want to hear your story, what you got.
Well,
Like I read about this stuff all the time. Been into it for years, and I have a UFO story. I saw one. Nothing super profound, nothing like crazy, but close enough to where I know I wasn't seeing something regular. And
Nice. That's sick.
But nothing, like I said, nothing super profound. It did get me on the road of reading about it and like getting into the subject 20 years ago or whatever. So I read a lot, but surprisingly, and I don't know if it's because I don't have buddies that want to do this stuff with me too, but have never tried these protocols that folks have supposedly figured out that work to psychically connect with these other worldly beings.
Shoot.
Right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Man, so when we go fishing, man, we're gonna do that. All right.
This is my ode to what's that movie with Bruce Willis and The Sixth Sense?
Okay, yeah.
That movie is
Sixth Sense or Signs. Which one?
The Sixth Sense. The kid, when the little kid sees ghosts, he sees all the ghosts all the time. He says, "I see dead people," and I always say this, like when I'm partying, I go, "I see drunk people." Because you kind of get in a different space, and I know I'm just kidding. It's a super shitty joke, but
that's how we're ending it, man. Look what you did.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mario.
Man.
Thank
My
you
pleasure,
for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, dude, my pleasure, man.
There you have it, folks. I had a great time getting to know Mario, and I know we'll fish together one of these days. Mark my words. You know what you got to do now. Go fish the Trinity. Go to the Trinity Fly Shop. Get a nice little room at the Indian Creek Lodge. Mario gave you a bunch of food recommendations too. You're more set than I was the first time I went there. Why don't you try and figure out where the spots that the local anglers gave code names to, like the living room, are? Take the haunted highway tour. Yeah, the Lewiston, Weaverville, Douglas City area is so full of ghosts that they decided to go on tour and showcase their spooky talents. You don't even have to hunt for them. They tell you where they're going to be. Maybe all these ghosts are the spirits of the ancient city that was flooded under the waters of Lake Shasta when the Shasta Dam was built, or the town flooded by the creation of the Trinity Dam. Why am I being fed so much weird dam-related content right now? How closely is my phone listening to me? Did you know that the Hoover Dam has 2 giant fallen angel statues flanking what is essentially a little Masonic ritual area that depicts the astrological alignment on the date it was dedicated by President Roosevelt? That dam is also said to have flooded an ancient city under Lake Mead, full of evidence of our hidden Tartarian history. I mean, I almost can't complain. The NSA or whoever is spying on me through my smartphone is dishing up the exact content that I crave. I simply can't consume enough weird to fill my conspiracy belly. Have you been reading all this stuff on the internet about giants too? No, not the shitty baseball team, real giants. From biblical Nephilim to the red-haired giants of Nevada. Are you going to tell me that you haven't been going bananas researching the Tartaria theories like I have? I'll give you the cliff notes so you can dig in. Tartaria seems to be a blanket term used for a lost, highly technological society that the ruling elites have gone through painstaking efforts to hide from us amongst the peasant class. These elites are aware of a cycle of cataclysmic events that have forced at least 3 to 4, quote, great resets, and for example, have managed to repopulate barren areas of the United States shortly after a gigantic mud flood in the early 1800s, or something like that. It branches off into the Smithsonian's alleged cover-up of human giant skeletons, tales of inner or hollow earth, trains of orphans, orphans in incubators at world's fairs, and much more. It is my new favorite internet rabbit hole. It's a wild one for many reasons, but maybe truth is stranger than fiction after all. Before I end this episode, I wanted to say a quick thanks to all my friends and family that have helped me keep this show going. I try and do that every so often. I really couldn't do this without my brother Jerome helping me with my logos, or my brother Orville helping me with music for my show. He's written me custom background music on request and mixed instrumental demos from our band Stella Crest, so I don't feel like a bandit stealing music from bands that I like so much. Our good friend Christian put a whole bunch of time into some animations for the show, and I love them all. Last but certainly not least is my friend the Worm. You've heard him in all kinds of ways on this podcast, and he's been a big part of some of my favorite show moments. I'm a lucky guy to be surrounded by so many creative people, and I want to thank everyone who listens to the show and shares it with their friends, too. A big thank you to the folks who have generously donated their hard-earned money to this very dumb show, too. I am honestly surprised and humbled every time it happens. Thank you all. I'm going to plug in some info about 2 fly fishing related mental health orgs here and say goodbye now until the next episode.
Hope you're ready for the next episode. Hey,
Tie flies.
every day.
Project Healing Waters brings a high-quality, full-spectrum fly fishing program to an ever-expanding number of veterans in need at over 200 locations nationwide. Project Healing Waters programs meet regularly throughout the year, with volunteers teaching the basics and advanced techniques while building long-term relationships. It's much more than a one-time fly fishing trip. The program provides basic fly fishing, fly casting, fly tying, and rod building classes for participants whose skills range from beginners who have never fished before to those with prior fly fishing and tying experience. All fly fishing and tying equipment is provided to the participants at no cost. Fishing trips, both one-day and multi-day, are also provided free of charge to participants. Visit projecthealingwaters.org to learn more. Fishing the Good Fight is breaking down walls, smashing taboos, and building community. They believe that experiences in nature are an important part of caring for one's mental health. Less than 20% of men struggling with mental illness and or substance abuse are receiving professional support. The combination of a healthy therapeutic outlet, talk therapy, and a strong community will lead to mental well-being. Men face specific challenges when it comes to addressing mental health issues. According to Mental Health America, 6 million men living in the U.S. suffer from depression. In a National Center for Health Statistics studies, nearly 1 in 10 men reported experiencing some form of depression, but less than half sought treatment. 70% of all people who die by suicide are men. It's from the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Men are often reluctant to seek help, particularly for depression, and are far less likely to access professional mental health services than women. Men make up less than 25% of people treated for depression and or substance abuse. For a lot of men, Fishing the Good Fight program, such as a retreat, is the first time they have opened up about struggles they faced, and 100% of men who attended a recent retreat indicated that they would seek professional help after the treatment. If you've ever wondered about your own mental health and wanted to improve your quality of life, Fishing the Good Fight can provide the tools, resources, and support to guide you along your wellness journey. FishingTheGoodFight.org has more information.
This episode of The Secret Society of Fly Tyers is brought to you by Orvis. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking,
whoa, they really got an Orvis sponsorship? That's awesome. I use Orvis products all the time.
Well, you're right and you're wrong. We did secure an Orvis sponsorship, and it is awesome, but it's not the Orvis that you're thinking about. We all know about Orvis, the fishing gear company, but not many people know about Orvis, the stain removal treatment company. That's right, there's a company called Orvis that just makes a powder that you mix with your laundry to remove stains. I didn't know about them until recently when I came upon their fine laundry powder at an estate sale. I tried the powder with my soiled clothing and was really impressed with how much of the poop it was able to tease out of the fabric. So I gave them a call and signed a contract, and now they own 1/3 of this podcast and are sponsoring this episode. This episode of The Secret Society of Fly Tyers is brought to you by Howler Bros. Howler Bros, or the Howler Brothers as I call them, are 2 twin brothers that live down the street from me. They're both really old and really strong, and they paid me $80 to talk about them, so that's what I'm doing right now. That's what sponsorships are. Somebody gives you some money to talk about them. It's as easy as that. So if you're in my neck of the woods, be sure to go down the street and say hello to Richard and Edgar Howler. They'd love to arm wrestle you.
Please note that this is not a real advertisement, and the company, brand, entity, or product mentioned in the preceding ad in no way endorses, agrees with, or knows about this podcast.